Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with us, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at LearnPianoLive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week. So it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense, but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And finally, it's most people's favorite. This is application, where we take the past concepts from other live lessons and we see how they apply to an actual real song that already exists. And since there's like 1,000 different ways to play any song, you're just going to work on the version that is appropriate for your level. So that might just mean playing one note at a time for right now. Or maybe you're working on chords or covering the full song. Or maybe you're just seeing how the song breaks down so you can better write and transcribe your own songs in the future. But whatever your level is, the goal is not this song. So even I think we're gonna cover most of that. We'll see. This is Auld Lang Syne. You've got your PDF. Dots that are above that. So we should be able to just follow these dots and play the letter names and say the words out loud and have the melody down. So if you've never played a song before, this might be a good one to start with. It's kind of long. It does repeat a lot. Actually, the whole second half of the song, starting about right here, is pretty much the same as the first half of the song. So you can play the first half of the song twice in a row. That's like 3 lines worth. So yeah, this might be a good one to start on. But first we got to find some letter names. So the first thing we got to find is a G. In order to find a G, we're going to take any group of 3 black notes, literally any group of 3. The higher up you play it, the more the G is going to sound high. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. You could pick that one right there, that note, that note, that note. But take any group of 3, just below the middle note in a group of 3. Okay, cool. So we pick a group of 3, take the middle note, drag it down. We land on a G every time. In fact, let's go ahead and throw the letters in like that. That should work. Cool. I'll pick this one, I guess. So I'm going to start on that G right there. And then we're going to go from there up to a C. So you do have to pay attention to the direction of the dots here. We're going to go from G up to C. Now, the note after G on the piano is the only weird move that we have, because after G is an A, because G is the last note in the musical alphabet. So it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts back over. So this one right here would be an A, and then 2 words for should, Auld. Should, Auld. That's the beginning of it. We don't want to do this. Should, Auld. That is a G to a C, but it went down to a G, and that's not going to sound right at all. So the ups and the downs are pretty much the only really super important part to this melody. We're going to play a G up to a C, and then we're going to play just down a little bit to a B, which would be right next door. I'm going to go kind of quickly through these next notes. If you need more help with the letter names, they're all written up here, as you can tell from this up here. If you take any group of 3 black notes, the one right below it is a G as promised. So that's how you read that chart up there. It looks almost a little bit more messy than just looking at the regular piano because of all the letters written in. But there you go. We've got a G up to a C, and then a B, and then a C. Now, playing these notes is the easy part. Making them sound like the song, that's a little bit more difficult. So it's going to take some practice to get should, Auld, acquaint. Give yourself plenty of slack and just keep practicing it. You'll get it. Try to sing along. That'll usually help. Or at least say the words along. Should, Auld, acquaintance. And pretend like there's people there trying to sing along with you, even if you do it slowly. Should, Auld, acquaintance. If you pretend that people are singing along with you, you'll give yourself sound. Usually means no one can sing along with you right now because you're taking a little extra break. So watch out for those sounds. Okay, so should, Auld, acquaintance. That's the beginning of it. And then we have B, forgot, and. That is a D, C, D, E. And then down here, we're back down to the C. Never brought to mind. Once again, we have a G to an A, and you can see it goes slightly up. Most people are going to mess up by going never. So watch out for your ups and your downs. As promised, that's kind of the important part. Never brought to mind. And then we've got the second half of that line. Should, Auld. That's an A, G, E, E, C. And then the next one. And for some of you, you're already lost right now. You're like, wait, hang on. I need to practice that for those first 5 notes. If that's you, then what you should do is practice those first 5 notes. Go for it. And then just don't move on to the lesson until you got those first 5 notes down. Just always practice the part that is easy for you plus 1 note. Don't try to take on the whole entire thing, going from the top to the bottom when the whole thing is difficult. So of the whole song you need to worry about. Auld Lang Syne. That's C, A, G, C. Just pay attention to the ups and the downs, and you'll have that before you know it. That's not true. It's going to be torturous if you've never played a song before, and it will be long after you know it. You're going to feel like you should know it, and you don't yet. That feeling is the feeling of being a musician. So you just keep on practicing it. The part that you can do plus 1 note, keep practicing it. You'll get there. Let me check in on the chat here. Cool. Good stuff. Yes, and I don't think there are any pertinent questions at the moment. Okay, cool. So then they're just having fun chatting in there. Cool. So that is the first half of the song. Now, if you wanted to, you could just repeat that and sing the next words like as if it was verse 2, and that would totally go over well. But if you want to, the first couple notes are different. Half of it starts down lower, should Auld, and up here we're going to have for Auld. And then the last half literally is the same thing. We'll take a cup of kindness for Auld Lang Syne. That whole thing right there is literally note for note the exact same thing as the end of the first section. So let me show you these notes one more time for this second half, going slower through it. For, that's the first note of the new section, starting up high, like I said. For Auld, that's a G, E, E, C, D, C, D, and then back up to that A again. A, G, E, E, G, and then up to the A. And then at that point, we really are back to the same thing as C. So if this is your first song, you should not be able to play this yet, because you're still practicing those first 5 notes, those first 6 notes, so the first line or whatever, and trying to sing along and pretend like everyone else is singing along with you so you can tell whether or not you're taking inappropriate breaks. That's all normal. That's all great. Practice that stuff up. Come back to this lesson when you need more of that. But then we should also throw in some chords here for people who are doing the intermediate version of the lesson. So yeah, maybe take your assignment, whatever your assignment is, if you've already got it. We can move on to the intermediate version right now. And that's, okay. Wow, that was anticlimactic. Let's try that again. Now we're going to move on to the intermediate version right now. So it's time to transition into the intermediate portion of the lesson. And of course, intermediate is a worthless term because we're all intermediate players. Everybody, you and I included, have people who are looking up to us, who are thinking, man, if I could play like that person, then I could call myself a real musician. And you and I both have people that we're looking up to, thinking, man, if I could play like that person, then I could call myself a real musician. So this is just the part of the lesson where you have permission, if you have found some little nugget of something that is difficult to do, but that makes sense, to let all the new students know you're not supposed to try everything in every lesson. And I want to give everybody else a chance to go get something to drink and take a bathroom break. But it's time to get back to it. Let's go. All right, so then the chords on this are all listed on this next page. It looks like there's just 3 of them, a C, an A minor, and a G. Let's talk about how to play those right now. The C chord is every other note starting on C. An A minor is every other note starting on A. And then a G is every other note starting on the G. Like that. So that's your C, your A minor, and your G. The A is called A minor because the major and minor chords. But that one's called a C, that one's called an A minor, but the note that it starts on is A, not A minor. A minor is not an actual note. It's the name of a chord, a collection of notes. Okay, enough music theory for right now. Let's go up here and figure out where those are supposed to be. So the G, oh, there's an F in here too. Ha, cool. We'll get to the F chord. The F is every other note starting on F. So like that when we have an F chord. All right, so then the C chord is gonna happen in your left hand on the word Auld. So assuming that you can already play the right hand, acquaintance be forgot. When you get to the word Auld, you're gonna play that C chord. I'd recommend not playing it too low. That's gonna start to sound muddy. That's not wrong, it's just not my favorite. And I don't know anyone that thinks that that sounds super great, but maybe you. If so, then go for it. So I'd probably play mine in this range or this range. Actually, I think when I started out, I was playing kind of up in the like higher version, in the thing that I played at the beginning of the lesson. So maybe start up there or in here. But anyway, that's gonna be your Auld. Should Auld acquaintance. And you're just gonna hang. Cool. That's that chord right there. Once again, you could probably get away with that. I don't know. I prefer that one. But in general, I just test them all out. See which ones you like. You might want to play it all up in here. That'd be really pretty. Nothing wrong with that at all. So practice the G's in different places and then pick the ones that you like best. Go with that. And then we have the A minor on Nev. So right here. Never brought to. And then mind is that F chord. The tricky part of this is not playing the chords. It's transitioning between them in such a way that someone could sing along with you. So playing should Auld acquaintance tense B. Forgot and never brought to mind. So you'll notice that I actually move my hand before it's time for that next chord. Otherwise, we get that sound when you go should old pianist playing. You'll notice that they're going to switch their chords before it's actually time to switch their chords, so they can land on it at the right time. Should old moving and landing, moving and landing, moving and landing, moving and landing. Okay, cool. So that's how we're going to do those, and I think those are all the chords that we have for the whole entire thing. Old, lang, Syne. Now I'm on the third line for old, lang, Syne. Than this one right here. This let-ang, the first let-ang is an F chord. The second let-ang is a G chord. If you wanted to, you can play them both as Fs or both as Gs. Or if you wanted to, you could play them both as Fs and then Gs. So for example, this one right here would be old F, G, C. And that would sound great in both places too. So either Fs or Gs or Fs and then Gs, and these melodies to interact with each other to come up with something like what I played at the very beginning. And that's more of the advanced thing. So let's go there now. Hopefully something has made sense so far, because getting into the advanced portion of the lesson, I usually don't even know what's coming up next. So this is just the time where we answer any obscure question, we follow any crazy idea that comes up, and we find out how deep this rabbit hole goes. Good luck to us all. All right, so then, first thing that we need to pay attention to is what are the chords doing here? If we just play them like this is called a blocked chord, because we're just playing the whole block of notes all together. So that's just a blocked chord. But you can also break up the chord, and then you'd have something called a broken chord. So instead of playing these notes, you can play it like this. And already, it sounds a little bit fancier. And you can experiment with different speeds of the notes. So you can play something like, and you can repeat it, or you can go back and forth. Now, when I say you can go back and forth, I don't actually mean you can go back and forth. I mean, I can go back and forth, and you can practice going back and forth. Worth of work you could practice on, or 2 weeks worth of work, or whatever it is. But there's another idea. But again, you could just go back and play the blocked chords like we had before, and that sounds good. If you played that for your friends, they'd be like, hey, that's Auld Lang Syne. I know that song. And that's kind of the goal of what we're doing, is to be able to play songs that sound like songs. So you're already there. If we're like looking at how can we like add other decorations to this to make it sound more fancy, then you're already a musician. Good job. Way to go. These are just other options. Have that already. So now I'm going back and forth. And then the other thing you can do is, these are not the right notes for the C chord. These are 3 of the right notes for the C chord, but also these are notes for the C chord, and these are notes for the C chord, and these are notes. These are all notes for the C chord. So I don't have to play just these 3. If I want to go back and forth, I could go up to those notes, or this is all totally allowed. Anything that says C and an E and a G, this is all allowed during that C chord time. So only played chord tones so far. So that was all just like the back and forth, the broken idea, really, broken chord idea, but then with multiple octaves. And then you have other, this one's probably like one of the more popular ones. Nope, hang on. The most popular one is to take your chord, take out the middle note, and don't play it at all. And then copy the bottom note on the top. Let me say that again slower. On a C chord, you would take out the middle note, which is an E. and then you would copy the bottom note on the top. So you're gonna have a C and a G and a C, and that's gonna count for you as the C chord if you are a YouTube pianist. That thing right there, or that, just like that, play that. And I call that 1-5-1, because that's the 1 of the chord, that's the 5 of the chord, and then repeating the 1 again at the top. So I would call that a 1-5-1, but you can call whatever you want. So you play. And then you can open up your own YouTube channel. Now, the next decoration on top of this would probably be adding in other chord tones in the right hand. So, like we talked about before, when I'm on an F, all of these notes, these are all allowed. These are all part of the F chord. So I can add in any other additional notes I want. If this is my melody, I could add in this note, or I could add in this note, or I could add in both of them, or I could add in that note, or all 3 of them. I can do anything that I want underneath the melody. So whatever the melody note is, let that be the highest thing. It's a rule you could break later on. But for right now, have that be the highest note that you're playing. And then any chord tones underneath that note that your right hand can catch, then you are allowed to catch those. Sometimes it's too much, but you might want to add in 1 note. Or maybe you liked all of them, whatever. It's lots of stuff to experiment with. So we've got this 1-5-1 thing. Then we've got the thing that I prefer slightly to that, which is instead of taking out the middle note and not playing it at all, like the middle note from my perspective, the middle note's kind of the most important note, or maybe the prettiest note, or the most colorful note, the most flavorful note. It's got a lot of information, that one note, for reasons that we're not going to get into right now. But I would really like to have that note in the chord. So rather than play 1-5-1, I'm going to take the 1, 3, and the 5 of the chord, and I'm just going to pop the 3 of the chord. So now I've still got all the same letters. I've still got C and E and G. They're just in a different position now. You don't have to be able to touch all 3 of these notes here. If your hands aren't big enough to reach all those, that's totally fine. You could do the same pattern with just... So it's nice to be able to reach them, but what I recommend you do is something called pivoting, where you try to reach the first so that you're now hitting both of these notes at the same time. So you're going to be pivoting back and forth over on this one C where it needs to be. But when I'm pivoting, all that really matters is I keep my pivot in the... reharm, like it says up there, then you'll get to this page, and we've got lots and lots and lots of reharm lessons where we could take this thing and really add a lot of chords to it. Like I tried to do towards the beginning, but it was like asking the song what it wanted to do, and apparently it wanted to turn into a 6/8 gospel tune at the beginning of the lesson. So let me ask it one more time, see what else it wants to do, and then I'm going to probably throw in some other chords that are not included in this sheet, but are definitely added into the reharm options. And if you want to do a reharm lesson oh, wait, hang on. From the chat, could you do bouncing octaves in the right hand? Probably silly. Okay, so bouncing octaves. So yeah, that could mean a couple different things. And I like all the options. Like this right here would be octaves. And then the bouncing thing, I'm wondering if you're talking about like this. That could also be really pretty. Or if you mean like... So I'm not sure what the bouncing part means, but the octave part, yes. I'll try to do some of that, and if you want to throw that by the time this there's a delay in the live stream. Yeah, okay, 3 here. I can give you an MP3 play along for this song. That's probably great for anyone who's just doing the melody. But because we're doing the chords and stuff, I thought this would be more of a piano solo. But yes, I'll make up a play along MP3 for this song as well. Good call.
I guess I didn't want to go back. So I think actually most of that stuff that I just work on. If not, then let me know. Whatever song you're wanting to work on is the thing that I'm wanting to work on too. So if you want to do a reharm on this one, we can do that. But until next time, I think it's time to go explore, mess up, have fun, rock on, friends, and I'll see you next year.